know, I've been trying to figure out how the hell to describe this Raw to you. So I'm going to go with the parts that really did not need to be done the way it needed to be. The opening of the show. I don't like usually doing the opening, but in this situation I have to with John Cena. When it came to John and Paulie, John had some decent passion and he spoke well. So did Paulie. But here's the problem I felt with this entire segment. Not for 1 minute did I believe that John was vulnerable. This is the problem. You're trying to make a Brock Lesnar look destructive and vulnerable. But John didn't seem vulnerable. John didn't seem able to be losing this. Particularly once Cesaro came out, which was a nice twist on it. But here's the problem. Cesaro versus John Cena. This is the only thing I felt that could have done well for that segment. John losing, Cesaro winning. Even if it was looking like a fluke, it would have shown that John Cena was vulnerable. Here or here, mentally or physically, if you want to show that someone could be beaten, you need to show vulnerability. And the problem I saw with that entire situation wasn't that he didn't speak well. He spoke pretty well when they talked about passion. He looked angry to a certain extent, which is not something different from John Cena always trying to look angry anyway. But it did feel like it was at least valid to a point. But if you really want to show John to possibly lose to Brock Lesnar, I would have liked to see him lose against Cesaro. Yes, he would have had to have another match against Cesaro because he lost. But you didn't have to have him win it. It would have looked good for Cesaro because he had a win over the World Heavyweight Championship. But by him losing, you didn't prove anything, WWE. And this is what I saw, ladies and gentlemen. John has been doing this for years. Every time there's a challenger that could be dangerous, they cart someone out to show that he could still do it. But in this case, like all of the other cases, if he had lost the match by fluke, in other words, lost it clean, but it looked shocking to John and he couldn't believe he lost, would have been more better for his character than anything else. On top of that, why not have Nikki with him? I understand John and Nikki want to keep their, if it's John directly, I think it is. He does not want their relationship to be in the storylines. In this case, I think it needs to be done. John needs Nikki with him, or Nikki needs John to come help her. Because this is very stupid what's going on between them. You don't have to care about Total Divas. These are two people who actually have a legitimate relationship, and they're doing everything to avoid it, and they're making it a spotlight that's ruining the storylines worse than it is. Now, let's move on to the Chris Jericho segment and subsequent match with Seth Rollins. I'll say this, trying to spotlight Stephanie, and I'm going to do the main thing about her later. When it comes down to it, Triple H did well, trying to really hype up that he did not like his wife being disrespected by the crowd, by the wrestling fans. I ain't calling it the universe. That's bullshit. We are fans, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we are. We may have a voice of one, but we are still fans that have individual voices. But in the end, when a Chris Jericho came out to try and insult her, and Seth comes out afterward when they want to teach him a lesson, was actually well done. I was not a problem with it. Here's the problem I felt with the entire situation of the match. I believe it was the match of the night. It was a pretty decent match. It was somewhat technical, a decent amount of high flying. I did enjoy it. It would have been better to actually have a loser and a winner here. Having a Bray, Luke, and Eric Harper come out and destroy a Chris Jericho was stupid. For the simple reason that we have not seen a Bray Wyatt win on Raw in a long time. We've seen him win once on SmackDown. Maybe on main event. But it's not Raw. And it's not enough for the crowd anymore. The way that people are booing now, I feel like the people are booing not because he's a good heel. It's because they can see this sucks. And they're beginning to lose interest in him. I still love Bray Wyatt, but let's be honest here. Do you guys actually believe Bray's going to win SummerSlam? You guys tell me below. Even if it's slated for him to possibly win, I don't buy it. Because there's not one moment that they have actually spotlighted this man properly to win. And it's not talking about the pay-per-views. When was the last time you saw him win on Raw? And that's where he needs to be spotlighted the most. If he's on the main roster of Raw, he needs to win. And that moves me on to the thing I also felt was wrong about this Raw. Bo versus R-Truth. Bo Lee lost. Why? 17-0 roughly. 16 or 17 I think it is. He could have had that up to 20-0 or 30-0. It would have made it more interesting for the crowd because the crowd really wants to get behind him no matter if he's a face or a heel. They want him to win to shove it into the WWE's face. And now the WWE decides, well, I think we're done with this. We're going to let him lose and then destroy R-Truth. Bad move. They had a perfect opportunity to give this man at least a good title run. And let's be honest. When you have a no-loss record, that's a title. The dominant man that he was has now been shattered. Now, they could still do something with him, but I believe they lost a perfect opportunity with Bo Dallas. They should not let him job so soon. It's too early. Another loss opportunity. Diego versus Fandango with Layla and Summer Rae. And I don't really care about El Tortillo. The women are there shaking their asses, looking good. That's all I care about. But here's the problem. You're letting them win too much. You're letting Summer and Layla win way too much over Fandango. And now no one really cares. If you let Fandango lose so much, what is the point? Vindictiveness only can go so far. It becomes repetitive and boring. I really wanted this. This is my way of seeing it. Layla took over from Summer Rae as his woman. Layla gets angry because Summer Rae still is in his thoughts. They both leave him and get angry and then start messing with this man with every person they can find. They bribe them, they kiss them, they let them suck their breath, whatever. And every time they throw somebody at him, he beats them. Eventually, you go in either one of two ways. One, you eventually go to a pay-per-view, a good one like a SummerSlam, and you finally have a payoff for these women where it finally makes sense that they won. That the guy they finally got to beat this man wins and they can rub it in his face. Or, finally, they both realize when they reach the pay-per-view, they get the best guy they can think of. It doesn't matter who it is. They get the best guy they can find to kick his ass, and it doesn't happen. And both of them realize that they look at each other on the pay-per-view, get into the ring with him, and with a mic in both hands of their hands say, we tried our best to get rid of you. We tried our best to mess you over, but you beat us. That means you're the perfect man for us. We both want you. This is how you get the demographics that WWE desperately needs. If you think it's sexist, yes, to a point it is. It's a threesome. Not everybody wants to see two women with a man. Most men do, but some don't. Some women don't. But let's be honest here. We really need this for the WWE. Having this would have actually given some interest. It didn't have to get very extreme. But we needed it. And they're just blowing this opportunity. It's just dumb. Let's get to the things that I did like. Because I've been talking about the things I didn't. And there's still more I didn't like in the show. The AJ and Paige segment. Now I gotta say this. I wasn't very interested in AJ and Paige. It upset me that Naomi gets screwed. and I'm going to talk about Naomi in a few minutes, it upset me that she got screwed. So I didn't really care that much about it. But after putting Paige as a heel and AJ as a face, excuse me, allergies. Ooh. Seeing that was not bad. They're defining the roles of both these women. They're making Paige seem like a very rough heel. AJ a very straightforward face that still has that little crazy streak. I am hoping they don't go there with Paige. As I said before, Paige going crazy is not what we need. But the way it looks, it has a certain amount of interest that people do want to see. People are behind AJ. She went from over a year and a half ago being a face, turning heel, and then switching back to a face. And this is what we get. She's not a massive face, but she is a face enough that people want to see that match between her and Paige. So I'm alright with that fight. I'm alright with AJ beating back on Paige. I'm cool with it. And hopefully they'll continue building on this on SmackDown Raw more than on Superstars and Main Event. Next, Rusev Verdial, Lana Ohal. I'm sorry, I didn't know what else to say. Lana and Rusev dealing with Zed and Jack Swagger. I think it was at the 1 hour main event. Well, 1 hour period, sorry. I think it was there they did this, which is actually a very good prominent time. And I'm very glad to see that they're still going with Vladimir Putin, screwing over Obama, and now they mess with George Bush. And I enjoyed Zed and Jack coming out with George Bush, not with Barack Obama. It's not the point that I like the man or not. It's the point that they're bashing now 2 presidents instead of 1. No matter if you like Obama or if you like George Bush. It's bad enough messing with 1 president, but 2 is too much. And this is what's making the feud even more apparent. If they continue doing that, messing with George Bush, messing with Barack Obama, people will really eventually get a very big interest in them because they like either one. So I have to say that was a smart move on WWE, I'm about to say TNA, WWE's part. What Zed said was quite good, except for that little bot she had, which is understandable. It was pretty lengthy. But him saying, that flag indicates beautiful women, pickup trucks, and beer. Now, I don't drink beer, but I do like trucks, and I do like women. So 2 out of the 3 I'm cool with. And then finally, Jack gets over on Rusev. He beats him up, he pushes him out of the ring. It does not mean Rusev lost. It just means he had to temporarily retreat. So this feud is still going strong. I'm glad they're not backing off. Like, I've heard about the same stuff as a Slug Daddy has to a certain extent. He has more information than I do. But I have heard people saying that they shouldn't be doing that with Putin. Look, the WWE is no different than any type of show that's out there that's a drama, a comedy, or horror show. They do what's going on in current events as much as they can, as often as they can. So this is what we want. It doesn't matter if it's politically correct. It matters if it's interesting. Interest doesn't mean it has to be correct. Interest is incorrect. And that's what we needed for that feud. Now, another thing I enjoyed, which I felt sorry for one person. Kane versus Roman Reigns. Kane basically was an afterthought. Again, I feel sorry for Kane. He went from such a dominant heel to nothing now. He really is nothing right now. They have not put him in a good position. He has not been used properly. And in the end, he's just a prop. But in the end, I have to say this. Comparing John Cena fighting against Cesaro compared to... Oh, Roman Reigns got his ass kicked. He got kicked very good by Randy. And it felt more believable with Randy. Not just because he put off a really good heel all the time. He doesn't. He doesn't always pull off a good heel. But in this respect, it was more believable. Because for so long, Randy has been screwed over by Roman Reigns so much that now It felt good to see him destroy him. So I am interested in seeing Randy do something with Roman Reigns. I don't even give a damn about John Cena and Brock Lesnar, because I just don't believe it with John Cena. He just makes it impossible to believe anything. Like I said, why not have Nikki involved with him? Then it would give it more life, and I would actually begin to believe that he could be vulnerable. Now, the 6-man tag of Dolph and the Usos versus The Miz and Rybacto. I have to say this about The Miz. I wasn't too fond of seeing The Miz come the way he did. I would have liked to see The Miz have a little bit of a talk before he had a feud with Dolph Ziggler. I said this already. They missed a great opportunity to let The Miz talk because he talks so well. Then you bring in Dolph. Then you start a fight. Then you do the feud. The only thing they did was just start the feud and the fight together, which really killed it for me. But it's not bad what they're doing with The Miz. He's being given prominent time with a title, just like Cody was at one point. So I'm actually alright with that. But here's the problem I have. You got Xavier Woods, you got Big E and Kofi dressed for success, watching the match, but don't say anything when it's over. They're just talking between each other. Now you would say, hey, that's okay. That wasn't bad. No. I wanted to see... It's so frustrating sometimes with the WWE. When Xavier Woods was there, Mr. Woods, he could have been called that, could have taken the mic and said, this is what I'm talking about. I see how people get screwed. This is what we have to fight against. This is what he could have said to his partners on the mic while everyone watched. But they didn't want to do that. They just threw them in as an afterthought. Even if anyone thinks it isn't, I feel like it is. And I would have liked them to say something. Let Xavier Woods speak. He's the best talker of all three. And I wanted that, and I didn't get it, and that's very disappointing to me. Also disappointing. Houston Sandower has a problem. Lost in space and got his ass kicked again by Adam Rose. It's just so sad to see. Mind you, there's a gorgeous looking black woman in that crowd. I just couldn't see her completely. But there's a tall, gorgeous black woman in that crowd. You guys tell me below if you know who it is. Because she's just, oh, gorgeous. But in the end, I still feel sorry for Sandower. I wish he would stop doing this. Let's see what's left to talk about. That's it. Oh, only thing left to say for the Rhodes brothers, they're finally beginning to show hints of the Usos. I can't wait to see how they're going to do this. The chalkboard was epic. That made Cody even look more doofusy. And that makes it even more epic. Finally, let's talk to Stephanie and Brie Bella. I'm going to tell you straight. I said this many months ago that Stephanie and Brie were going to have their fight at SummerSlam. I don't know if anybody else said it. Possibly they did. But I knew it was going to happen because of the way they were going. This segment was done well enough that it makes an interest. Think about it for a minute. This is about Stephanie. When have you last seen Divas spotlighted at the end of the show? Only Divas. No men, no Triple H, no John Cena, no Randy Orton, nobody but women, particularly Steph. We don't get that. Always some man has to come out. And yes, men came out to try and separate them both, but that doesn't count. In the end, Stephanie and Brie were spotlighted. We don't get the Divas in a spotlighted position. When was the last time they were spotlighted? 6 years ago? Maybe 7? A real decent spotlight on the women? We don't get it. And even if anybody and everybody don't like the Divas at all, come on, you gotta admit it. They're doing more than TNA is doing with their women. And that's sad. TNA notoriously was better with their women than WWE. But now we have two women that are going to possibly have near main event position at SummerSlam. If it's not near the main event, it will be near the main. It will be the main event, which I don't think it will be, but it may be. I'm actually glad to see this. I'm glad to see women getting the spotlight. I may not be interested in Brie Bella. I may not be 100% interested in Stephanie, even though she's a gorgeous looking woman. But I'm glad to see it at all. So what I believe about this show, it was not that great. There was so much in this show that sucked. But there was a lot of good stuff building into SummerSlam. So am I interested in seeing SummerSlam? Yes. I want to see it. And I hope you do too. So I hope you enjoyed this Zane View. Please give me a comment below. Give me a thumbs up. Tell me if I'm doing right or not. And tell me honestly, do you want to see women possibly main event SummerSlam? Peace out!